Shirley. Saturday was the Cape Town Home Education Expo, and it was well attended by a lot of parents, new parents to homeschooling. And the same questions come up around what is the best curriculum, and we've already got a chat about that. So parents can look through our archives and see what is the best homeschool curriculum. But a lot of parents want to know what program is suited to my child. So they're not like asking, please tell me the best. They're saying, this is my child. I don't want this to be a terrible, painstaking, begging, nagging time for my child to do school. So when we decided what we were going to do, you came up with the very catchy title of How to Choose a No-Nagging Curriculum. So how about we just run through a couple of pointers for parents who are looking for a curriculum for next year, and how to choose one that doesn't turn us into nags.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if I have to be honest, I think there's some subjects that I do always nag my kids to do. Not always nag, but it's like they don't always take joy in doing the discipline subjects, what we call, because those are the subjects that you need to graft layer for layer and just work on.
Yeah.
But the no nagging subjects are for us definitely the literature-based programs that we use for social studies and for science and for nature, because they are so interesting and we're just reading aloud, whether it's a reference book or a storybook, and they give delight and they fascinate us, and specifically stories that always grip you to find out what happens. And so you don't have to nag your kids to get involved in those things and to learn. Sometimes you'll need to assign them like practical activities that go along with that. But generally, it's not this big awful meltdown like we have for some of the other subjects when you're saying, all right, you're going to write a little book review on something you've read, or you're going to write a little bullet points list of something related to something you've studied. It's much more manageable and doable, I think, than these daunting, boring textbooks. So, yeah. I think you've got to choose those fun things.
For sure. Just thinking back about when we launched Voetspore in at the end of 2020, and we got this text message from a mom whose child had been doing a CAPS-based, textbook-based program, and then they decided to bite the bullet and go for something that is completely outside of their frame of reference and wanted something in Afrikaans, and so they ended up with Voetspore. And she sent me this message and she said, my son cannot believe that this is going to be school. And it was particularly referring to the Olaf, the Seerover books.
Yes.
And he was like, how can this be school? And that's the whole point, is that we don't want to import the school into the home. We want our children, as far as possible, to have a delightful education, and stories appeal to all ages. Even moms are engaged, and so many springboards for further learning, like you're saying, assigning different things, come from literature. But on the side of the discipline subjects, I think that's why we call them discipline subjects, because discipline teaches us and it grows our character. So I think that there are certain maths programs and reading programs and writing programs that even bore moms to tears. So there are amazing ones out there that are sort of hands-on and interactive and multi-sensory for all those things, and parents can look for those. And in fact, we can maybe pop some links below. But at the same time, we do want some things to be hard, because that's where character grows, right? And but then we don't want to turn into the nag to get them done. So how did you, when the kids are not wanting to engage with the material, do you have a little sentence? I had a little sentence, but I want to hear yours first, that you would say to them to encourage them in embracing that discipline?
Well, I can't think of a catchphrase right now, but I mean, I always just negotiate them and say, look, I'm asking you to do 20 minutes or 30 minutes of this subject. That's all you have to do. Then it's over. Get it done with. And then we can do the things that we like and that are more fun.
Yeah.
And so I always sort of just use that you only have to as the sort of negotiating tool, because often kids are immature, and so they tend to procrastinate and sit with this book in front of them of the subject that they hate and they doodle all over the pages, but they're not actually doing the work, and then they just put it off, and they're sitting there for an hour, but they've done nothing. So you often just have to teach them, do it, get it over and done with, and then you've got time to do the things that you love. And then we focus on the things that they love. And I'm going off the topic. I want to still hear your phrase. But the other thing about doing literature-based learning and learning from real life is that you go out and you see things. And I've got one child who's like a little walking encyclopedia. If you want to know something, you ask him that, especially if it's about nature, because we'll go out and see plants or animals, and then he looks it up in the nature guide, and then he knows what bird it is or what plant it is, and that's just his own interest and his own idiosyncrasy, I suppose. Not all my kids are like that, but that's how you find the things that your kids are interested in. And then you have the freedom, or they have the freedom, to explore those areas and to learn and become the little, encyclopedia on their topic. But tell us now your catchphrase.
Depending on which child it was. One I would always encourage along by just saying, I know that this is not the area that your strength lies in, but no matter what job you do one day, you're going to need to have basic maths or basic writing, or basic reading. You can fill in the blank. And the other child who really wanted to go into a mathematical career, but at certain stages, it was like a hiccup with the maths. I would encourage him and say, when you push through, not only are you going to have a strong character, but you're also going to have developed a skill that you will love using. And you say it often enough, and those things kind of trickle in and then eventually become reality. Outside of that, I also used to always assign a delight topic to my children. So we would do the discipline subjects, and we would do the literature-based reading and the outings and the activities based on those things. But each child is individual within your home. And obviously, the more children you have, the more complicated it gets. But that's why you want them to have good reading and writing skills, because then you can set them free on a delight topic. So for one child, she studied horses for like 9 years, and became, like you're saying, a boffin on the topic, like your one with nature. And the other one specialized in art, and the other one specialized in, each of their different things. And to try and work that in is much easier in an eclectic education model than if you're now sitting with a stack of textbooks and you've got to do an hour in each of those textbooks. And after 7 hours of schooling, the kids don't want to do anything else,
The mother doesn't want to do anything else. She's had enough by then too.
Yeah, exactly. So I hope those few tips on how to pull together a no-nag curriculum help moms. Is there anything else that has popped into mind?
No, I think just we also do have some other videos on nagging and on dealing with the relationship issues with our children. And I think those will also just encourage families, because we don't have to be nagging every day. We've got to just teach our children to take ownership and do what they need to do. And we've got to also just deal with our frustrations. But that's a topic for another day.
Yeah, another day. Great.